Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at how to beat Zekvir'S within the, Zekvir'S Lair delve, but most importantly to obtain the Nemesis achievement and of course to just kind of give a heads up on the rewards. Now beating Zekvir'S is quite challenging, so I'm going to talk to you first about preparing for Zekvir'S, and then we'll run through obviously facing him and everything like that. So yeah, really important stuff. Now you'll unlock Zekvir'S Lair from the Delve storyline. There's like a couple quests you'll get upon the initiation of the Delve storyline. One of them will eventually bring you Zekvir'S, Hand of the Harbinger. This will ask you to defeat Zekvir'S, and basically you will come to Zekvir'S Lair. Now, defeating Zekvir'S can be quite challenging. Firstly, you need around an item level higher than 600 to take on the question mark difficulty. The second tier is double question mark difficulty, but this only becomes available if you are firstly clearing a tier 10 delve with lives remaining, and obviously secondly we're going to be looking at how to complete the question mark one. So that's super important. Now, in terms of preparation, there are a couple things that I want to talk about. So firstly, let's talk about gear and player preparation. So in this sense, gear is super important. Item level, of course, you need to exceed 600, but there are a couple other things you can do. Look at your set bonus. For example, have you converted pieces? Are you holding your full set bonus? This is pretty important. Look at your build. Zekvir'S requires at the very minimum 2 interrupts, because you want to really interrupt 2 of his abilities, the enfeebling spit, and also you want to be able to interrupt the spawn that he has if you fail to defeat the cocoon egg. So having 2 of those is very important. On top of that as well, we can enchant our gear, and we can also consider placing gems in our gear if need be. So this is stuff I would highly suggest you. On the alternative item front, there are also other items we can bring in. So the first being war drums. War drums is an item, I don't have any on me now, but war drums is an item that gives players a haste. So if you have a haste, for example, like a bloodlust or a hero, you're going to want to bring war drums. You can buy them on the auction house, they're relatively cheap, like 20 gold. And then you're going to want potions. Cave Dweller's Delight is a great kind of free one that you'll collect naturally, and you can use this to restore some health. It's very, very important, especially if you're a DPS, and that it helps in an emergency situation. I also suggest buying a flask. It may be a little bit pricey for you, like a couple thousand gold, but it will give you a big boost, and you can again buy that off the auction house, and it is quite important. Let's talk about Brann. So Brann's level and Brann's abilities is super important. So firstly, his level, we want to make sure that Brann is at a high level. The higher his level, the more damage he does, the more it's going to help us. Secondly, we want to look at curios. You can take whichever one you want, but try to find ones that suit you. I personally like the Porcelain Arrowhead because of its increased crit chance capabilities, and I like Amphorius Relic because of the fact that it can increase your health, or it can obviously increase your haste. So both are very useful for me because I'm a tank, but you might find others that are useful. I don't suggest taking things like the old Seeker Relic or anything like that, because it's a short delve. You don't have time to benefit from that or anything like the movement. I would only really suggest maybe the Time Last one, because basically it can act like a haste. And then obviously Amphorius Relic is pretty good. You could also take Lifeless Necrotic Relic, because it does give you a second life, which is pretty important. So yeah, you can look at choosing those. But besides that, that's pretty much it. I do suggest combat instead of healer, unless you are like a very good DPS, then maybe healer is fine with you. Yeah, but that's really my tips and tricks for the delve. Now let's get into the actual delve. In the actual fight with Zekvir'S, there are 2 difficulties. You can unlock the first one by completing a tier 8 with revives remaining, and the second one by completing a tier 10. Entering it basically will start the fight. Then there's a couple of things you're going to want to be aware of. So for example, he has Claw Smash. This is a frontal cone based ability, where basically you're going to want to stay around about melee distance from him. Then there's Angler's Web. Okay, it does quite a bit of damage, so you want to keep an eye out for that. Then basically you're going to want to watch out for when he spawns cocoons. You need to destroy those, also very important. And then finally, see this Claw Smash, and then finally Enfeebling Spittle, you want to interrupt this, and then you're going to want to avoid the sphere, and that is pretty much it. He's quite challenging. Obviously the higher your item level, the better your time is going to be. So there's the cocoon. You need to burst this cocoon down. Of course, he will sometimes spawn his fist right on top of it, so it's not always ideal, but you really want to get rid of the cocoon. I know it can be quite challenging, but it's something you want to get rid of, but just be careful obviously of everything else. And then yeah, you can claw your way back, use potions, heal yourself, do whatever you can, avoid the Angler's Web, and just in general try your best. You might take a couple tries, but you should get there eventually, and when you do, really awesome. So yeah, the eggs are super important because they have this kind of glowing little top that they have here, which helps you to easily spout them. And yeah, once you're there, you're pretty much good to go. Obviously I am quite well geared for this, but what I will, there we go, mistake, and I'm gonna die probably. What I will say is that it is still very challenging, and try not to get greedy and just focus, and hey, you'll get everything done. So yeah, Nemesis is definitely, there we go, very good. Nemesis is definitely quite challenging, but what I will say is it is something that's a lot of fun, and I think certain classes will obviously struggle to a certain extent with this. I think, look, tanks have a pretty good time. I think melee classes have it a bit better because you can avoid a lot of his moves quite well with like being melee. But I do think as well, on top of that, you know, all things considered, at least for me, like, I find that melee classes deal with it the best. But with that being said, you know, there's tons of stuff you can do to really improve your time with it, and yeah. And once you do, you unlock a really cool curio, which is really awesome. The Relic Blood of Zekvir, which randomly while in combat, a blood beast will attach itself to Brann, launching morsels of itself, granting Bloodstained Blessing, which is really cool, and can be quite helpful. It's a really cool one. And then we have Zekvir's Raptorial Spine, which is a really cool cosmetic that you can have as well. So all in all, I think for me, it's definitely well worth it to complete it, and obviously it is part of the Glory of the Delver achievement, which is pretty cool. So yeah, but that's tips on how to beat Zekvir. Bye.